My daughter said she was only helping with the bills. That was how it began. One password. One folder. One promise that I would never have to worry about due dates again. 6 months later, I sat at my kitchen table with a stack of bank statements spread in front of me and discovered that helping me had cost more than $12,000. Some of the charges were small. $48 at a restaurant I had never visited. $93 for a clothing store 2 counties away. A monthly streaming service I did not use. Others were much larger. A $2,000 transfer to an account I did not recognize. A payment to my daughter's credit card. 3 withdrawals from an ATM near her house. And 1 check written from my account for $4,800. The signature at the bottom looked like mine. It was not. My daughter Rebecca sat across from me. She had spent the previous year telling everyone that I was becoming forgetful. Now she watched me trace each transaction with a yellow highlighter. "Mom," she said, "you're making this look worse than it is." I looked up. How much worse would it need to be? She crossed her arms. "I paid myself back for things I bought for you." "Which things?" "Groceries, prescriptions, repairs." "Then show me the receipts." Her eyes moved toward the statements. "I don't keep every receipt." The $4,800 check says home expenses. It was for work on the house. "What worked?" She hesitated. "The bathroom." "My bathroom has not been touched in 8 years." Rebecca's face tightened. "You asked me to help because you couldn't keep up. I asked you to pay the electric bill online." "That is not all I did." "No," I said, "it is." She had paid my bills. She had also paid hers. My name is Margaret Lawson. I was 71 years old when I learned that my daughter had been using my checking account as though it were a second household fund. I had lived alone for 2 years. My husband, Thomas, died after a long illness. We had been married for 46 years. Thomas handled most of our online banking. I handled the household budget, but I still wrote checks and kept paper records. After he died, everything moved online. The utility company stopped sending detailed bills unless I requested them. The insurance company wanted electronic payments. The pharmacy encouraged automatic refills. Every organization had a password, security question, and verification code. I could manage it, but I did not enjoy it. Rebecca noticed. She was my oldest child. My son, Andrew, lived in another state and visited several times a year. Rebecca lived 20 minutes away. She was 45, divorced, and raising a 17-year-old son named Noah. She worked as an office manager for a dental practice. She was organized, efficient, always in motion. When Thomas became ill, Rebecca helped us. She drove him to appointments when I was exhausted. She collected prescriptions. She brought food. She called insurance companies and spent hours correcting billing mistakes. I trusted her. There was no single moment when that trust disappeared. It eroded one transaction at a time. 3 months after Thomas died, I missed a water bill. The notice arrived with a small late fee. Rebecca found it on the counter. "Mom, you can't let this happen," she said. "It was one bill. What if it had been the mortgage?" "There is no mortgage." "You know what I mean." She offered to set up automatic payments. I agreed. We sat together at my computer. I gave her the banking password. She added my utility accounts. She organized my email into folders. Before leaving, she wrote every password in a notebook and placed it inside my desk. "This will make everything easier," she said. For a while it did. Bills were paid on time. I stopped worrying about due dates. Rebecca came every Sunday and reviewed the accounts. She would sit at the kitchen table with her laptop and tell me everything was fine. When I asked to see the statements, she usually said there was nothing unusual. I believed her. Then she began making other decisions. She canceled my newspaper subscription because she said it was a waste of money. She changed my phone plan. She moved my car insurance payment to a different date. She switched my pharmacy without asking because the new one offered delivery. Each change seemed small. Most were reasonable. But I began to feel like a guest in my own finances. One afternoon, I bought a new coat. It cost $160. Rebecca saw the charge online and called me. "Did you buy something at Parker's?" "Yes." "What?" "A coat." "You already have coats." "I wanted this one." She sighed. "Mom, you need to be careful. I can afford a coat." "That isn't the point." "What is the point?" "You have to think long-term." I was 70, not 20. I had thought long-term for most of my life. Thomas and I paid off our house. We built retirement savings. We carried no credit card debt. I had enough monthly income from Social Security, a small pension, and investments to live comfortably. But after Rebecca took over the bills, every purchase became something she could question. She called it oversight. I called it exhausting. Then she suggested adding her name to the checking account. "For emergencies," she said. "You already have online access." "That is different." "How?" "If something happens to you, I need to be able to pay expenses. I have a power of attorney." "Who is named?" "Andrew and you together." She frowned. "Andrew lives 6 hours away. He can sign documents electronically." "That makes no sense." "It made sense to your father and me." Rebecca did not mention the account again for several weeks. Then the first strange charge appeared. It was $87 at a grocery store near her house. I saw it while checking my balance at the ATM. When I asked her, she said she had purchased groceries for me. "What did you buy?" "Household things, paper products, cleaning supplies." I looked around my kitchen. There were no new supplies. She became irritated. I probably left them in my car. The following Sunday, she brought paper towels, dish soap, and laundry detergent. I apologized for questioning her. That apology became a pattern. Every time I noticed something unusual, Rebecca had an explanation. A gas station charge was from driving me to a medical appointment. A restaurant payment covered lunch after shopping. A transfer paid back money she had advanced for my property taxes. The explanations were possible. That made them easy to accept. But something inside me remained unsettled. The feeling grew when Rebecca began telling other people I was having memory problems. At Thanksgiving dinner, I forgot whether I had added salt to the potatoes. Rebecca laughed and said, "This is why I handle the finances now." Everyone smiled. I did not. At church, my friend Helen mentioned that Rebecca had told her I was struggling with bills. "I missed one payment," I said. Helen looked surprised. She made it sound more serious. 2 weeks later, Andrew called. "Mom, are you doing okay with money?" "Why wouldn't I be?" Rebecca said there have been mistakes. "What mistakes?" She didn't give details. That worried me more than the charges. Rebecca was not only managing my accounts. She was building a story about why she needed to manage them. I decided to review everything myself. I opened the banking website. My password did not work. I tried again. Nothing. I called Rebecca. "Did you change my bank password?" "Yes." "Why?" "The bank required an update." "Why didn't you tell me?" "I was going to." "What is the new password?" "I'm driving, I'll send it later." She did not send it. The next morning, I called the bank. The representative asked several security questions. Then she said, "Mrs. Lawson, there is a note requesting that online account changes be verified through the secondary contact." "Who is the secondary contact?" "Rebecca Collins." "I never added a secondary contact." There was a pause. The representative transferred me to the branch manager. His name was Mr. Patel. He had known Thomas and me for years. He asked me to come in with identification. Rebecca had entered the branch 2 months earlier with a signed authorization form. The form allowed the bank to speak with her about routine account questions. It did not make her an owner. It did not give her authority to change beneficiaries or withdraw funds. but she had used it to position herself as my primary contact. The signature looked like mine. I could not remember signing it. "Is this valid?" I asked. Mr. Patel examined the form. "It may be, but I would like our compliance department to review how it was obtained." I felt embarrassed. I may have signed it without understanding. "That is possible." His tone was careful. "But you are entitled to revoke it." I revoked it immediately. Then I asked for 6 months of statements. He printed them. The stack was thicker than I expected. I carried it home and placed it on the kitchen table. For the next 3 hours, I reviewed every line. At first, I marked only transactions I did not recognize. Then I created categories. My bills, my purchases, cash withdrawals, transfers, payments linked to Rebecca. The pattern became clear. Small charges appeared every week. Gas, meals, online shopping, phone payments. Then there were larger transfers. $1,000, $2,000, $4,800. The total was $12,634. That did not include purchases Rebecca might claim were for me. I called Andrew. He answered on the second ring. "Mom, I need you to come this weekend." "What happened?" I checked the accounts. There was a silence. "How bad?" "I don't know yet." Andrew arrived Friday evening. He was 50 years old and worked as a civil engineer. He was quieter than Rebecca, more cautious. He reviewed the statements twice. Then he asked, "Did you authorize any of these transfers?" "No." "Did you write this check?" He pointed to the $4,800 payment. "No." "Do you know the business?" The check was payable to Collins Property Services. Rebecca's married name was Collins. Her ex-husband owned a small maintenance company. I had never hired it. Andrew looked at me. "This may be serious. She will have an explanation." "Maybe." "You don't believe that." "I believe we should ask for documents, not explanations." That sentence sounded like his father. The next morning, we called Rebecca. I told her we needed to discuss the account. She became defensive immediately. "Why is Andrew involved?" "He is also named in my power of attorney." "You said this was between us." "I said I wanted help with bills. I have done everything for you while he lives 6 hours away." Andrew remained calm. "This is not about who visits more. It's always easy to criticize the person doing the work." I asked her to bring receipts for every payment she had made from my account. She laughed. "That is impossible. Bring what you have." She arrived Sunday afternoon with a folder. The folder contained utility bills, pharmacy receipts, and several grocery slips. The total was less than $900. I placed the 6 months of statements on the table. Rebecca looked at the highlighted pages. Her expression changed. "You went through all of that." "They are my statements. I could have explained them. That is why we are here." I pointed to the restaurant charges. She said they were meals purchased while handling my errands. I pointed to the gas charges. She said she drove frequently on my behalf. I pointed to the clothing purchases. She said she had ordered items for me and returned them. There were no matching credits. Then I pointed to the transfers. Rebecca looked away. "I borrowed money." "You never asked." "I was going to pay it back." "For what?" "Noah's school expenses." Andrew leaned forward. $2,000. His tuition increased. "He attends public school," I said. Rebecca's face reddened. "He needed tutoring, test preparation, a laptop." "Where are the receipts?" "I paid from my account." "Then why did money leave mine?" She did not answer. I moved to the check. Collins Property Services. Rebecca crossed her arms. "My bathroom needed emergency repairs." "Your bathroom?" She realized the mistake immediately. The check memo said home expenses. "Not my home." "Hers." "My shower was leaking," she said, There was damage behind the wall. So you wrote a check from my account to your former husband's company. I was going to classify it as reimbursement. For what? For all the things I have done for you. The sentence hung between us. Rebecca believed she was owed money for helping me. Not agreed compensation. Not documented expenses. Whatever amount she decided was fair. How much do you believe I owe you? I asked. She looked startled. That isn't what I meant. It is exactly what you meant. I have spent hundreds of hours dealing with your life. I did not ask you to manage my life. You asked me to handle the bills. And that gave you permission to repair your bathroom. No. It was the first honest answer she gave. Andrew asked whether she had signed my name on the check. Rebecca looked at me. I had your permission to pay bills. That was not my bill. The bank would not have processed it if there was a problem. That is not an answer. She began to cry. I was drowning. Rebecca explained that after her divorce, she had fallen behind. Her ex-husband paid child support inconsistently. Her credit cards were nearly full. No one needed money for college applications. Her roof leaked. Her bathroom required repairs. Every month, she came to my house, reviewed a balance she believed I would never spend, and returned to a home where bills were waiting. At first, she used my account for small expenses. She planned to replace the money. Then she used more. Each transfer made the next one easier. I kept telling myself it was temporary, she said. Why didn't you ask me? You would have said no. Then you knew you did not have permission. She wiped her face. I thought after everything I do for you, you would understand. I understand that you needed help. Then why are you treating me like a thief? Because you took money without asking. I'm your daughter. That is why this hurts. She turned toward Andrew. You have no idea what it is like being the one nearby. I know you have done more day-to-day work, he said. That does not give you access to her money. You always get to be the good child because you stay away. This is not about me. It is now. Rebecca stood. The meeting was collapsing into old sibling resentments. I raised my hand. This is my account, my money, my decision. They both became quiet. I looked at Rebecca. I need every password, receipt, checkbook, and document connected to my finances. She stared at me. You are cutting me off. I am removing your access. What if you miss bills again? I will handle them. You can't. I handled a home, a career, 3 family illnesses, and 46 years of marriage. I can learn an online payment system. She shook her head. You are being stubborn. No, I am being responsible. Rebecca left without giving me the password notebook. The next morning, I met with Mr. Patel and an attorney named Laura Bennett. We changed every password. We closed the checking account and opened a new one. We moved automatic payments carefully. The bank canceled the old checks. My credit was frozen as a precaution. Laura reviewed the power of attorney. Rebecca and Andrew had been named to act jointly if I became unable to manage my affairs. The document was not active. Neither child currently had authority. I updated it. Andrew remained as one agent. My sister Joan became the alternate. Rebecca was removed. That decision hurt. But authority should be assigned based on trust, not birth order. The bank investigated the transactions. Most had been initiated online, using my credentials. The check appeared to carry an imitated signature. Mr. Patel explained that I could dispute the transactions and make a formal fraud complaint. Laura explained the possible consequences. I did not make the decision immediately. I was angry. But I was also Rebecca's mother. I did not want one terrible period of her life to destroy everything. At the same time, I could not protect her by pretending nothing had happened. I requested a full written accounting. Rebecca had 30 days to identify every transaction connected to her and explain the purpose. Laura sent the request formally. Rebecca did not respond for 2 weeks. Then a large envelope arrived. Inside was a spreadsheet. For the first time, she listed everything accurately. Some expenses had genuinely been mine. $412 in groceries. $368 in prescriptions and medical supplies. $205 for household repairs. The rest was hers. The final unauthorized amount was $10,941. Rebecca included a letter. Mom, I kept waiting for the right time to tell you, but every month made the truth harder. I thought I deserved something because I was the one helping. Then I stopped asking whether you would agree and started deciding for you. I know being overwhelmed does not excuse what I did. I am sorry. I will repay everything. I read the letter 3 times. It did not repair the damage. But it was the first step that did not require me to doubt my own memory. Rebecca agreed to a repayment plan. She signed a formal acknowledgement of the debt. She paid $250 each month. When she received a tax refund, she paid more. I disputed the forged check, but did not pursue criminal charges after receiving legal advice and confirming that the bank's loss would be repaid. That was my decision. It was not permission to forget. For almost 6 months, Rebecca and I did not spend time alone. Andrew visited more frequently. Joan helped me create a paper and digital bill system. Every bill went into a red folder. I paid it myself. Then I marked it on a calendar and filed the confirmation page. It took time. I made mistakes. Once, I entered the wrong password 3 times and locked myself out. Another time, I nearly paid the same insurance bill twice. I called the company and corrected it. No disaster occurred. The more I handled, the more capable I felt. That was something Rebecca's help had quietly taken from me. Not only money. Confidence. When another person handles every task, they begin to appear essential. Eventually, you may start believing you cannot function without them. I had believed that for 6 months. Then I relearned my own life. Rebecca began therapy through an employee assistance program. She sold several expensive items. She stopped using credit cards. Her ex-husband's company returned part of the bathroom payment after Laura contacted him. He claimed he believed the check had been written with my permission. I could not prove what he knew. I accepted the refund and moved forward. 9 months after the meeting, Rebecca called. I need to ask you something. My body tightened immediately. What? Can I come over for coffee? Why? Because I miss you. She arrived the following afternoon. She carried no folder. No laptop. No bills. We sat at the kitchen table. For several minutes, neither of us knew what to say. Then she looked at the red bill folder on the counter. You're doing all of it yourself. Yes. Any late fees? 1. She smiled slightly. I had 2 while I was helping. I almost laughed. Then I remembered why we were sitting apart. Rebecca's expression became serious. I told people you were becoming forgetful. I know. I think I needed them to believe you depended on me. Why? Because then what I took felt less like stealing. The honesty was painful. She continued. If I was managing your life, I could tell myself the money was part of the work. If you were fully capable, then I had no excuse. You had no excuse either way. I know. I looked at my daughter. She seemed smaller than the woman who had once stood in my kitchen, telling me I could not handle my bills. Do you understand why you are no longer in my power of attorney? Yes. Do you expect that to change? No. That answer mattered. Real accountability does not demand immediate restoration. It accepts the boundary created by the harm. Rebecca continued repaying the money. It took nearly 3 years. On the day she made the final payment, she brought me a copy of the original spreadsheet. Every line had been marked paid. I placed it with the bank statements. She asked whether I planned to keep them forever. Yes. Her face fell. Because you don't trust me. Because forgetting the facts would not help either of us. She nodded. That's fair. Our relationship is better now. Not the same. Better in some ways because it is more honest. Rebecca visits on Sundays again, but she does not open my mail. She does not know my banking password. If she buys something for me, she gives me the receipt. Sometimes I reimburse her. Sometimes she tells me it is a gift. The difference is discussed. Andrew and Rebecca also rebuilt their relationship. He admitted that distance allowed him to avoid responsibilities she had carried. She admitted that carrying more responsibility did not entitle her to control. They now divide practical tasks when I need help. But I decide what help I need. That is the most important difference. My finances remain private. My independence remains mine. I still use the red folder. I still review every statement. At the end of each month, I sit at the kitchen table with a cup of tea and compare the transactions. Most months, everything is ordinary. Electricity, insurance, groceries, a book I forgot I ordered. Occasionally, I see a charge I do not recognize. Now I call the bank before I call anyone else. The 6 months of statements remain in a locked drawer. Yellow highlights cover the pages. They tell the story more clearly than memory ever could. 1 charge might have been an accident. 2 might have been confusion. But 6 months revealed a pattern. Small purchases became transfers. Transfers became a check. Help became access. Access became entitlement. And entitlement became a story in which I was too old to understand what was happening. I was not too old. I was too trusting. Those are not the same thing. My daughter took control of my bills because I allowed her to help. She kept control because I stopped checking. She used my money because each month passed without a question. Then I read 6 months of statements. I did not find one dramatic transaction that explained everything. I found dozens of ordinary choices. That is how trust is often broken. Quietly, repeatedly, with an explanation ready for every line. I still love my daughter. I understand the pressure she was under. I know caregiving can become exhausting, especially when one child carries more of the daily work. But exhaustion does not create ownership. Being helpful does not create a salary no one agreed to pay. Knowing a password does not create permission. And being someone's daughter does not make their account a family account. The money was repaid. The relationship survived. But neither happened because I ignored the betrayal. They happened because I documented it, stopped it, and required the truth before forgiveness. Rebecca once told me I needed her because I could not keep up. Now she understands that helping someone should make them safer, not smaller. And I understand that independence is not proved by refusing all assistance. It is protected by knowing exactly what assistance you agreed to receive. I asked my daughter to pay the bills. I did not ask her to decide what belonged to her. 6 months of statements showed me the difference. And once I saw it in writing, I never allowed anyone to blur that line again.